I was speaking to a client literally a couple of days ago, and he had a huge challenge with overwhelm. And he told me that there are some tasks that he takes on where he just gets completely overwhelmed, so overwhelmed that he literally doesn't do anything. He just keeps off putting a task because he just has no idea what to do, right? Maybe you can relate to this. Now, if you're an entrepreneur who also struggles with overwhelm, you will find this video very helpful. So the first thing that you've got to do when you're facing an overwhelming task is to realize this. A huge task is like trying to eat a whale, right? It's massive. You wouldn't have a clue where to start, especially if you're a vegan. You're like, I ain't touching that, right? But the truth is, if you break it down into small slices, now I know this is getting a little bit meaty, but either way, if you can start being more aware of breaking it down into more manageable chunks, it's actually much easier. So the first step that you want to do when you are dealing with an overwhelming task is to identify and clarify the outcome that you are looking to achieve. So for some people, and I'll give you the example for him. So he wanted to create an advert. Now, creating an advert, if I'm honest, it just sounds a little bit bland. I want to create an advert. Instead, if you were to say, I want to create, I want to have a huge impact. I want to have a lasting impact where people reevaluate their life. Like, that's cool. But creating an advert, that's something different, right? So you want to clarify your outcome. Like, what is that outcome that you have for the challenge that you're facing? So once you've done that, you then want to externalize your mind. Now, this is a concept that I've spoken quite a lot about, and if it's the first time you've heard of this, let me explain. You need to get everything out of your head onto paper or onto a software where you can start to organize it. Because if you're attempting to figure out everything in your head, it's very challenging. You can't move things around very easy. You've just got this thing, right? So instead, when you write it down, you can see it visually, you can type it, you can actually clarify everything you've got to do. So after you've externalized your mind, you've thought of everything that you've got to do for that task. Maybe you've got 5 things, 20, 50, depends on how overwhelming it is. Suddenly, you'll notice you're a little lighter because you can see you've got a lot of things. Now, if you're still feeling overwhelmed, it's okay, we've still got a few more steps. So after you externalize, you then want to chunk it into different groups. So for example, for him, maybe I think there was research. So like the research you do before, and then actually implementation. There's also design as well, right? So there's different elements for yourself. Maybe you can chunk them and group them in different ways to help you move forward. So for example, when I am preparing for a video like this, if I were to plan it out, my first chunk is prepping content, making sure that I've got all the content that I need is written down, I can see it visually, like I know where it is. That's my first chunk. Next, it's filming of everything. I need to get everything filmed, I need to show up, I need to be in the right state, I need to get ready to rock and roll. And then afterwards, it's obviously social media, sending it out and inspiring people. So that would be 3 separate chunks that would be under the category of perhaps inspiring people and the different content involved with that. So see if you can chunk your tasks accordingly so you can match them up. Now then you want to prioritize. Whenever I look at different tasks, generally speaking, you want to look at you want to use the Pareto principle. So 20% of what you do gets you 80% of the results. So you want to focus on that 20% that really can have that 80% of impact in the decision or in the outcome that you're looking to make, right? So identify that 20% mark. What is the most important things? And see if you can do that first to really get you going on that journey. It's so key that you spend time working that out and prioritizing and planning which order to do things in. So it doesn't look like this huge page of everything, but instead you've actually got an order. You can see, all right, this is the priority. And now, hopefully, you'll start to actually feel like this is much more manageable. Now, I really recommend that you can listen to this, but I strongly recommend you think of a task, and as I go through these points, you actually start to do it. So maybe pause the video, go back and actually start to clarify the outcome, externalize your mind, actually chunk it, and now we're on to prioritize and plan. Now, after that, you want to estimate how long you reckon it will take you to do these tasks. Now, I remember to begin with, I was so bad at this, it was a joke. I would literally spend, I'd say, you know what, that's going to take me 2 hours to do that. And that 2 hours, that WeChat marketing campaign, 2 hours, right? It would take me like 20 minutes. And I'm like, well, what am I going to do for the rest of the day, right? But there'd be other times I'd say, oh, that design, 20 minutes. And it would take 2 hours. So to begin with, it's pretty challenging. But you'll get better and better, and you want to be as realistic as you can and give yourself a little bit of leeway to make yourself feel good. And that way, you aren't putting too much pressure on yourself, but you're actually getting things done in a way that really works for you. Now, I found that is so key for me to be able to get things done quickly. But estimating that time, you can see, right, this task can take 5 hours. I've got 2 hours on Monday, 3 hours on Tuesday, let's get it done. And now suddenly, it's so easy to understand what you need to do. Now, the last thing here, and I've mentioned the Pareto principle before, we actually have an entire thing which is creating must time. This is highlighting the elements that are most important for you to do if you run out of time. So let's say you were to run out of time. What's the 20% that you must do, which is pretty much going to hit the outcome? And that is, for example, for him, it's creating the advert and just getting the first design out there to a designer. That's the most important thing. If he does nothing else, if he does that, that's great. Same for you guys. What is it? What is that 20% that really hits that 80% of the outcome to move you forward? Now, those are the first 6 steps. Now, there's actually 2 others. So the first one is, well, number 7 is delegating, and it's working out who you can delegate this to. And the 8th one is linking it to a sub-identity. So it's saying, who are you going to be as you do this task? Now, if you're interested in starting I don't know what I'm saying. If you want to understand productivity and to understand how to deal the pain on tasks, like how do you actually get stuff done in a really powerful way, reach out to us. We've got various different modules that we have available for productivity and profit optimization to help you move forward. So drop us a message and I'm more than happy to have a conversation to see what we can do to support you on your journey. Hope you enjoyed the video and look forward to seeing you in the next one.